In this video, we're going to talk briefly about Greek conjunctions and particles. Once again, this is a condensation of what you're going to find in your grammar. David Allen Black's It's Still Greek to Me grammar. So conjunctions are going to be indeclinable words that link different words, phrases, clauses, or entire discourses to one another. In Greek, normally you learned a conjunction with their gloss. That is to say, not with their definition. A definition actually sort of gives you a sentence about what a thing is, but a gloss is a particular translation or particular translations. So when you learned in Greek 1, your flashcard Chi, you learned that it meant and, also, and even. And then sort of by context, as you've translated, you have determined whether and, also, or even is the best translation. So, as is often the case in Greek, and specifically in second semester Greek, things are more complicated than are let on in first semester Greek. That is to say that Chi doesn't necessarily have sort of this one-to-one correlation with these particular words, but does something. It's functioning in different kinds of ways, and the same is going to be true for other kinds of conjunctions. So when we're thinking about conjunctions, it's helpful to think of two major categories. Conjunctions that coordinate, that is, two things that are equal to one another, that are set on either side of the conjunction, are connected by the conjunction. So on either side, you have two elements that are of equal parts, and they can be connected in different kinds of ways. And we'll look at those different kinds of ways in just a moment. Subordinating conjunctions, on the other hand, connect two things that are not of even weight, that they are in unequal or in dependent relationships. So sometimes a dependent clause will be set off by a subordinating conjunction, insofar as that clause or that phrase is subordinated to something else. So I give you examples in Greek of both of these, and we're going to look at a list of those in just a moment here. So coordinating conjunctions, there's different kinds of ways that two things that are of equal weight can be set next to each other. They can be coupled together with a copulative conjunction, or they can be contrasted with one another. They're still of equal weight, but they're being contrasted. This thing is like this thing is like this. A disjunctive gives two different options or alternatives, either this or this. An inferential conjunction, the two things are still of equal weight. This thing happens, then this thing happens, or this thing happens, and therefore this thing happens. They're of equal weight, but they're connected in a inferential relationship. And similarly, a causal relationship, the things are even. This happens because this happens, or this happens because this happens. Subordinating conjunctions are a little bit more complex insofar as they create complex sentences. A complex sentence is one that has an independent and one or more dependent clauses. And I give you the different kinds of subordinating conjunctions here. So again, a subordinating conjunction is going to be when one of the two things has different kinds of weight, and one is subordinated or is dependent on the other in various kinds of ways. So it can be dependent on it with respect to purpose, result, cause, comparison, condition, concession, declaration, time, or location. Particles are going to be similar to conjunctions insofar as they are very small words, but they're really sort of a catch-all category that have all kinds of different functions. The most common particles are going to be the negative particles. And these are the ones that you probably know very well by now, but giving you a little sort of grammatical explanation, and in some cases this might be review for you, is helpful. U is going to be the negative particle that negates something real, and namely the indicative mood. Remember, the indicative mood indicates something that is actually the case or is to be the case in the future. So U negates the indicative mood. It's a real denial of something that is the case, was the case, or will be the case. May negates the subjunctive, optative, and imperative mood. All of these moods indicate something that is possible or might happen, but isn't necessarily real in the past, the present, or the future. So the may is used for the non-indicative moods. U is used to negate the indicative mood. And if one wanted to really strongly negate something, you combine the two negative particles and use U may to emphatically deny something. There's another category of emphatic particles, or another group of emphatic particles, that their primary purpose is not necessarily to communicate meaning as much as it is to communicate feeling. That they express sort of thoughts or emotions in different kinds of ways. They might express intensity, contingency, a statement of fact. They might call attention to something. They might affirm something or show a connection between something, or they might emphatically affirm something. So nigh is sort of the opposite of u may. So just to quickly review, and it would behoove you to actually pause here and complete this review. I want you to pause and see if you can just, based on what I have told you here, and based on your reading of Black, if you have already done it, connect the letter to the number over here. All right, let's go ahead in for a high five for your work here, whether or not it's completely accurate. 1, 2, 3, boom. Well done. Here are my answers. A subordinating conjunction is going to link two unequal elements. One is going to be dependent on the other. A conjunction is going to link two elements, not saying anything about whether it's subordinating or coordinating. An u, the negative particle u, is going to negate the indicative mood. A particle, generally speaking, is a catch-all category for small words that do different kinds of things. U may is used for emphatic denial. If an author wants to really state that something should not happen or will not happen, they use both of the Greek negative particles. The coordinating conjunction is going to link two equal elements, two things that are on the same level. And then may is going to be used to negate the non-indicative moods, namely the imperative, the subjunctive, and the optative.